Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about 5 of the best class setups in this game as of right now, with some of the best weapons on them, best attachments, best perks, best everything in this game right now. And I think this video will really help a lot of people out in picking these setups where you can really allow yourself to flourish in your gameplay and you don't really have to worry about enemies melting you with those overpowered weapons. I mean, you still have to worry about it, but you can kind of match them, which is sort of what this game is forcing us into. Once again, I think there's going to be a patch update coming out very soon to this game with balance changes, so this stuff is all, probably going to change, but the concept still remains the same, and the design of these setups are probably going to remain this way for a very long time in this game, regardless of if they nerf that overpowered 725 shotgun to the ground or not. You can just swap out overkill and switch out to EOD, but you can still stick with what the weapons are and do some good damage. Anyway, we'll go ahead and break these stuff down, go into the top 5 class setups. If you want to go in depth into each weapon, I've already done 8 individual class setup videos, and more of them are definitely coming up, so you can check those out if you want to see me go in depth onto a lot of the ARs and SMGs. But drop a like on this video if you guys could. Let's go ahead and go for 980 likes. That would be incredible. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed. We're on that road to 1 million subscribers. We're at like 975,000 subscribers. We're getting really close, so I really do appreciate everyone joining me on that journey, hitting that subscribe button. It's just absolutely awesome. Smack a like on this thing. We'll go ahead and bring you into the create a class menu and break down all these different class setups. Smack a like and enjoy. Alright, what is up guys? Let's go ahead and get right into these class setups. Now the first one here that we're going to have is going to be by far the most OP setup in this game, but this is basically just because this shotgun, the 725, is absolutely ridiculous right now. The range that you can one-shot people with this thing it's just really stupid, and it's probably going to be nerfed. So once it is nerfed, I'm guessing it's going to be nerfed in some sort of update that will come out probably within the next couple weeks or so, maybe even sooner than that. It could be in the next couple of days, but until then, or even maybe after that, this shotgun is really strong, and this overkill class setup basically abusing the top 2 weapons in this game, the M4A1 and the 725 shotgun, is absolutely ridiculous. So use overkill, then restock, which restocks your claymores as well as your stim shots, which are both very strong in this game, and then battle hardened as that third perk. Now battle hardened is pretty nice. When it comes to the third perk, I think you have a lot of different options here. Probably my favorite third perk would be tune-up. However, tune-up allows you to recharge your field upgrades by 33% faster. And usually if I'm using the ammo box or the dead silence or even stopping power, which has a slower time, it can be very effective. 33% of the slower time stopping power can be extra effective also. But battle hardened just is pretty nice because, especially if you're posted up, with the shotgun setup as well as the AR, you're probably going to be in a building or patrolling in an area in ground war, and they're going to be trying to stun you out or flash you out because of course everyone has tacticals on their class setups, and the tactical that I use on pretty much every setup, the stim shot, isn't unlocked to level 47. So a lot of these lower level players, because obviously the game just came out a week ago or so, a lot of players are going to be sticking with these first 2 ones, or even when the game's been out for 9 months, flash grenades and stun grenades are still going to be super duper popular. Not everyone is going to attach to the stim shot, much like a lot of good players will, because this is made more for a rushing, not necessarily rushing, because what is rushing in Call of Duty Modern Campfire anyway, but you know what I mean. The stim shot is for more of a reviving, fighting off multiple enemies, I guess you could say. So anyway, with the attachments, if you want to see more for like in-depth on the attachments, I do videos on breaking down each weapon individually, and I talk super duper in-depth and cover stuff. Of course, this game is pretty much brand new, so attachments people are still testing and changing up, but this is what I like with this first M4. Reflex sight, I have another M4 class setup later we'll talk about with the default sight, but this one I like the either the Cronin mini reflex. I like the Viper also. The circular red dots really are my style in this game. Definitely reminds me a lot of like Black Ops 1, the FAMAS. I remember the FAMAS Black Ops 1, you could like change the tint of it and change the actual reticle. People had a lot of fun with that, but I definitely like the circular ones. Stock, just traditional stock to increase your aim walking movement speed, sleight of hand, and stippled grip tape. These are my 2 probably favorite attachments in this game. I guess one is a perk, one is an attachment, a weapon perk. Sleight of hand is so important because, like I said, I'm mainly a 10v10 or a ground war player, and you could be rushed by 5 people through a doorway, or it could be 2 people and then 2 of their squad mates spawning on them. I think sleight of hand really is good because obviously it just allows you to reload quicker. Training in reloading faster when under pressure, it is very useful in my opinion, and especially because the secondaries in this game are pretty trash, and I mean they're not necessarily trash, but when you compare them to these primaries that kill pretty much with the blink of an eye instantly, they are kind of weak. So having sleight of hand so you don't have to rely on the secondary is really important. And then the stippled grip tape, getting your ADS speed up quicker and your sprint to fire speed, which is basically gung-ho from Black Ops 4. And all you lose is aiming stability, which honestly isn't that really big of a deal. I'm not sitting at the back of a ground war trying to hard scope with this weapon. I'm playing it like a normal AR sort of class up. Then when it comes down to your barrel on this thing, like I said in my other video, you probably want to go with the stock M16 Grenadier, and then when you're able to unlock the Corvus Custom Marksman, upgrade to that. Damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. That's the big three, and I'm not talking Miami basketball. That is absolutely ridiculous. And you lose ADS speed, you lose movement speed, but look at that. Damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Absolutely crazy. Then, of course, when it comes down to the shotgun, I know people are going to want to know, what do I use on the overpowered shotgun? Now, this thing is just, there's no words to even describe it. It's got to be nerfed, right? You got to think it's going to be nerfed. I know the developers have been like retweeting people getting nukes with this or like shooting people across the map with it. I guess the developers like I don't get it. I really don't get it, but I would guess this thing's going to be nerfed because everyone's complaining, and it probably is at this stage the most overpowered shotgun we've ever seen in Call of Duty other than the pre-patch model. So I rock with the barrel for a damage range and a tighter pellet spread. The majority of the time, I might hit fire if the enemy catches me off guard, but the majority of the time, I'm just going to be trying to pick people off at range with this weapon, and that's why, of course, damage range and tighter pellet spread is kind of nice for that. You do lose a little bit of ADS speed and movement speed, but this is an overkill setup. You're not probably running around too much with this gun anyway. You're sort of running around with your M4, then you get to a tight area, you pull this shotgun out and patrol through the building like that. Next is the laser, hip fire accuracy, and sprint to fire speed. Like I said, you don't want to be hip firing with this unless the enemy catches you off guard. You want to try to be sort of quick scoping or ADS scoping with this thing so you can get more of those one shots at a distance, but it is still nice to have. And then sprint to fire speed is very, very important also, just because it gets your gun up quicker. If you are, you're probably not going to be running around the entire map, but sprinting isn't just running around the map. You might want to sprint forward to another room and the enemy catches you in a sprint and you have a decision to either hip fire or you can get your gun up quick and aim down sights, but either way, the laser does help. Of course, it is visible to the enemy, so you have to keep that in mind. Don't be sort of creeping around corners where the enemy can see it, but that doesn't come into play too often. Next, for the sawed-off stock ADS speed as well as movement speed. This counteracts some of the other stuff that we lost earlier, and it gives up aiming stability and recoil control. I mean, who really cares? This is a shotgun. It's one shot to kill them. I don't really care about the recoil. Think about like the Barrett 50 cal from Modern Warfare 2. That recoil literally shot you up across your screen up into your ceiling, but you'd already killed them because it's a one-shot kill. Sleight of hand, of course, pretty self-explanatory on this weapon because it's the Olympia. You got 2 bullets in it. And then I go with the Forged Tack Steady Grip, which gives you ADS speed as well as sprint to fire speed and gives you aiming stability. It is kind of weird how like the balance on the assault rifles, a lot of the stuff that hurts the assault rifles actually matters, but on the SMGs or shotguns, I mean, who really cares about some of the stuff you're losing for what you're gaining? The pros really outweigh the cons. I wonder if they're going to balance all this stuff. Like I said, this video I'm recording on early morning, November 5th. I'm probably guessing the patch update honestly might even come out today because it's Tuesday, like later today or sometime this week or next week. But anyway, as of right now, this shotgun is just absolutely ridiculous and super duper strong. Next class setup here we have is the MP7. Now, I just made a full video on this setup. I love the MP7. I think it's an amazing gun. It was probably one of my favorite guns in MW3. Monolithic suppressor, so you get some silencer and the damage at range. The FSS Strike, I talked about this. You basically want to pick between one of these 2 barrels, depending on if you want to lose movement speed and if you want to gain recoil control. I don't think you really need the recoil control because this thing is kind of nice. You're going to be using up close and personal. No stock, which is a great one for SMGs. On most of my ARs, you'll see me using something that get like a Forged Tack Ultralight that gives me a stock strafing speed. But on SMGs, hey, I'll get movement speed and ADS speed because what is the point of using an SMG if you're not very mobile with it? The whole point is to get up in their face with an SMG, and then sleight of hand and stippled grip tape. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of these 2 as of right now. They're pretty much meta and very, very effective in pubs. Double time, I rock on my SMG setups. I see people saying like, it's impossible to play this game without EOD. It is kind of hard. You got to watch out for explosives, but I think it's kind of really, really hard to use an SMG without double time because I like to, the footsteps are so damn loud in this game. I know they're going to work on tuning for that, but crouch walking is really, really strong, and increasing that crouch walk speed by 30% as well as doubling your tactical sprint to run across these long ground war maps is super duper important. Ghost is pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people running UAVs. If you're the bigger lobby that you're in, more people using UAVs, more people that are going to catch you with if you don't have Ghost. So it's something that you can sort of just use and you shock enemies, make them the rage a little bit, and then tune up. Pretty self-explanatory why I rock it on an SMG. It's because dead silence is what you need to be rushing, and I want to be refreshing that as often as I can. Once again, my lethals and claymores, or lethal is claymore, my stim shot is the tactical. That's pretty standard as of right now. The claymores are just so stupid overpowered. Like even on this class setup, it's not, I'm not trying to camp with this setup because it's an SMG. I'm trying to get up in their face, but I can just place the claymore at a known doorway and run away, and it'll basically get a free kill because, I mean, there's 32 people in each game in Ground War, 10 people in each game in 10v10, and even in 6v6. I mean, the routes are very, very predictable on these maps where people are going to go. They're going to be running to the buildings, to the camping spots. So you could set up a claymore there. You don't even have to be there, and it can just blow them up. As far as secondaries, like I said, the secondaries, I honestly really try to never use them. I try to keep sleight of hand and keep my primary out because I know, hey, against the shotgun or someone using an M4, I don't really got a shot when it comes with, even if I'm using like a Deagle or what's the other shotgun, a 357 or something like that, you don't really have a shot. Next, this is probably the best perk setup as of right now for just straight up going for your streaks and patrolling. Flak Jacket, restock for the claymores and the stim shot, and then battle hardened, which is tac mask. Now EOD is going to be getting a buff, which is actually pretty crazy because I think it's already a very strong first perk. So once it gets the buff, which was announced by the Infinity War developers that they're working on it, I think that could be really, really strong. Battle hardened, of course, doesn't just completely wipe away those tacticals, but it does help reducing them. And then when you go with the Kilo 141, which is another weapon that I really, really like. On this one, I like the default sights. I like the default sights on the M4 also, especially because there's different variants, and I mean, we're going to be getting so many variants this year. It's going to be interesting to see. But monolithic suppressor, this is more for a long range setup with the Kilo. And I know traditionally all of our Call of Duty minds is saying long range with a silencer. That doesn't make sense. But this game is different. The silencer setup gives you damage range, and it doesn't lower your range. So it's so different. It's literally so different, this game, and how things are designed. We have to sort of relearn our brains. Not relearn our brains, but you know what I'm talking about. You lose ADS speed, you lose aim walking steadiness, whatever. This is made for range. Next, I go with the Prowler. Damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. Once again, the big three. And you are giving up some, like I said, these cons, they do hurt on ARs. It's like they want you to camp in this game because they hurt your movement speed and your speeds on your ARs so much. Or maybe they just knew, hey, our ARs are just stupid overpowered. We need to do something to balance it with the SMGs, make them a lot quicker. Next, I run with just traditional stock. Like I said, on this weapon, I like just traditional stock. I mean, the weapons, even with this, still feel kind of slow, but without it, they feel very, very stiff in this game. And on ARs, I like to run that. Sleight of hand, and then the stippled grip tape. Once again, even on this setup made for range, I still like to have ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. I'll still take it. And aiming stability, I don't find that hurts. Aim walking steadiness, actually, I've been noticing does hurt a good amount when you're trying to strafe. But aiming stability, I don't know. It hasn't really been. I need to be testing that testing it out more, I guess you could say, but I haven't really noticed it hurting me or costing me any kills yet so far. Next setup here is the MP5 setup. Now, this is what I think is the best SMG. I made another video on this setup also, and with this one, double time. Second perk, you can go with Ghost. If you're playing Ground War, I think Ghost is kind of required. If you're playing 10v10, I probably would, or 6v6, go with something like a High Alert or a Kill Chain. I actually do like High Alert because it pulses, and when you're rushing through different open areas, begin that pulse and knowing someone's looking at you, you can just try to slide into the nearest building or try to back up. Sometimes you'll run out into the open, and then, your vision will pulse. You'll just have to turn around real quick because the time to kill is instant in this game. Any sort of alert you can get can be very, very helpful. And then once again, tune up. I think tracker can be nice also on subs, but with the footsteps being so loud, I was liking tracker for a while, but I'm starting to veer off of it a little bit and just stick to more of a tune up battle hardened sort of setup. And that's with the MP5 attachments on this thing. It's so good, this weapon. It's so good because it's like the fastest killing SMG up close, and it has a ridiculous range. Monolithic suppressor, SMG suppressor and damage range. And then we have stippled grip tape, sleight of hand. We have this is sort of the equivalent of the no stock on this, the FTAC collapsible, where you get movement speed and ADS speed. Once again, you'd think it's costly to give up recoil control, but the recoil on this thing is just sort of a mini bounce. It's actually very easy to control at, not going to say long range, but mid range. And the specialty, what makes this weapon really, really good, even without this, it's still one of the best SMGs or maybe even the best, but I definitely go with the 10mm auto rounds because you get damage and range, and you give up fire rate and aim and control, but your time to kill remains virtually the same up close, and of course, even better at range. The only downfall would be your aim and recoil control, which once again, like I said, this is the setup that I use, and I'm telling you guys, the recoil, it isn't that bad. It's just a bounce. If you have trouble with it, learning to control against recoil, pulling down on that right stick as you're shooting, it obviously comes a lot easier, I guess you could say, to someone that's been playing Call of Duty and practicing that for years, but even if you haven't, you can definitely get used to that. And then when we go with this last setup here, I want to make this, the M4 is definitely probably the best overall gun in this game, I would say. I mean, the shotgun is the most broken gun. The M4 is probably the most overall sound gun. And this is another setup here that I go with. This is a really nice up-close setup that I might use on, something where you're more up-close and personal, but you don't have to worry about restocking claymores as much, and you go with something like a kill chain, which allows you your kill streaks to stack like Modern Warfare 2. So I traditionally run with the VTOL at 8 kills, Chopper Gunner at 10 kills, and the Gunship at 11, and if I'm doing that, I think that's how it goes. Maybe the gunship is 12 kills, something like that. The big 3 streaks, right? And when I get that I think the gunship is 12. When I get that first kill chain at 8 kills, I can just run to the back of the map or just play it a little bit safer, call in my VTOL, and the VTOL should be able to get me up from 8 kills up to unlock the chopper gunner as well as unlock the gunship. And once you do that, it's basically over. You're just raining terror from above, and you can get out of those 2 streaks, you're probably going to average 15 to 30 kills depending on the mode, unless there's one of those kids on the other team, and I say kids lightly, you know what I mean, an enemy on the other team trying to shoot down your streaks, trying to get that gold rocket launcher camo. I'm just messing around, but yeah, tune up as well, really, really nice. And yeah, here it is, a little bit of a much more closer setup. Now, this is one where if you want to run with the default sight, like I said with this thing, you can actually run, there's a variant that is available if you did digitally buy this game for PS4, I think it is, which changes the iron sights or the default sights. So that's kind of nice. You have 2 different options. Obviously, more going to be coming out. Tac laser is nice. You get 3 sort of speed ups on this weapon that do help up close. And then once again, I stick with the stock. If you want to get a little bit more ballsy, you could go with this, give up the stock, add a little bit more out of controlness with this weapon. But then at that point, I'm like, you're going kind of all in up close. You might as well just pick the MP5. I don't know. It all depends. It's all personal preference. I like to stick with the stock, sleight of hand, stippled grip tape, and then out of the ammunition mags, and with this also, on the M4 class up, you can either go with sleight of hand, or sometimes you might want to mix it up and go with a 60 round mag if you're trying to just set up and patrol and pick people off in like a 10v10 situation or something like that. But on this setup, like I said, this is designed not just to be your best overall setup. This is more of an up close and personal M4 setup, like you can see with the tac laser, like you can see with everything that it's designed around. And these magazines, I've actually been having quite a bit of fun with them. It costs you damage, at range, but it gives you a bit of recoil control as well as a fire rate, and I've just been having fun with this. I'm not sure exactly how effective this is. Honestly, I don't think it really is that crazy effective, but it is a fun thing to use, and if you want to mix that up, you could easily take that off and swap it out to a Commando foregrip, which is another very, very nice attachment on this weapon that allows you to control your recoil a little bit better, because a lot of these things that give you good recoil control, like a vertical recoil control, they cost you quite a bit. Like, look at this. I'm giving up quick draw and stock. That's pretty costly, especially on this one's made for more up close. This one you're giving up, once again, quick draw and stock to get hip fire accuracy and recoil control. No thanks. This thing already doesn't, even if these weapons do have recoil, you kill them in half a second. By the time you notice the recoil, you've already got a triple kill. Commando foregrip, recoil stability and stabilization, and aiming stability, and you give up a tiny bit of movement speed. Pretty nice setups. Anyway, any of these 5 class setups will be really strong in this game. Like I said, patch updates are probably going to be coming out soon, and if I was to guess, they might be nerfing the M4A1, and they're probably definitely going to be nerfing the 725. I would be shocked. It would be kind of funny to see the community's reaction if they just left the shotgun. It actually wouldn't be funny, because we've had this actually happen. Modern Warfare 2 one-man army noob tubes. They're still in the game today. That came out 2009. That's sort of like a sick joke, so I don't even want to say that. It wouldn't be funny. Come on, Infinity Ward. I know this game is designed for casual players, but, make it balanced. That's all I could say. But yeah, once again, if these weapons, if they nerf the M4 into the ground, obviously I'll do update videos, but these setups will pretty much remain the same. These perks setups are very, very nice, and definitely sticking with that lethal claymore and the tactical stim shot are super duper effective, just with the way this game is designed, with the way that the health regen is slow, with the way that the claymores feed perfectly into these maps, not to mention that their blast radius is just ridiculous, and there's very little counters to them. So, like I said, these could change when patch notes come out, but these are definitely, if you're picking any of these setups, you're going to be able to slay out in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and hopefully this video did help you guys out. Drop a like, subscribe, I'll catch you on the next one, and that's about it, and I'm out. Peace.